Good Friday morning. Weekend's almost here. Does it really matter anymore? The weekends, like, they run into each other because of the snow. Who can get a feel for it? Crazy. Again, I want to reiterate. Based on my own experience, if you get to the main arteries or the interstate, you are in great shape driving. If you need to go to the store and you can get through your side street, you're okay. It was really bad last night coming home from FedEx Forum. I mean, it's very simple. I'm just taking Union and I'm taking that to Walnut Grove. That's good. If you took the interstate, absolutely great. Martin Luther King Drive, terrific. Just for a heads up for Sunday. But side streets in East Memphis, where I live, awful. Like last night might have been the worst that I've seen it. Actually, almost got stuck trying to get in my own driveway. Had to use my knowledge of living in Chicago and in the Rocky Mountains and Steamboat Springs on how to go back and forth in a car to get momentum, to get traction, and did it. But it's tricky. And I do want to warn everybody. We got a cold front coming back in tonight. None of this stuff is going to melt. It's probably not going to melt till Tuesday. Hopefully then it goes away. So what you hope for now is that a lot of these side streets, because I did notice this morning my side street was more tramped down, so it was actually better than it was last night. But these things are going to be tricky. They're not going to go away. So stay in if you can. If you got to go out, you got to go to the store. Really go slow on the side streets until you get to the main arteries. And I will say the main arteries are really, really good. Landon Schmidt, your experience this morning coming in, similar, different?
Yeah, I encountered a few more, let's just politely say, not so great drivers who decided they wanted to drive faster and go around people, just being really, really dangerous. So if I could encourage anybody, be defensive. You can control what you can do, not what anybody else does, so take it safe. I skid, I think, a couple of times this morning, but nothing too major. Like I said, once I get past that initial stuff near my neighborhood, then it's fairly smooth sailing.
It's easy, yeah. And if you can get to the internet, you're going the speed limit.
Yeah,
I mean it's terrific. In most cases, it's at least 2 lanes now.
Yeah,
I remember when we first started here when I came back from Wichita Tuesday morning. It was 1 lane, and when I came back Monday night, it was like half a lane.
Right.
So now they've done a really good job at clearing that out. The Tigers last night got a win. That was a telltale win. To me, this was going to be, are you really in it for the rest of the year? Do you care? And they showed that they did. I'll get more into that. I don't know, Landon, if you've seen any of this. But if you got the men's semifinals ticket in Melbourne at the Australian Open, you got your money's worth doubled. In the first match, Carlos Alcaraz, the number 1 player in the world, and I think a guy who's got a chance to become the greatest player of all time, certainly one of the most fun and athletic players we have ever watched play the game. In my opinion, combine Rafa and Nadal when you watch those two. The Spanish, Rafael Nadal, and, of course, the great Swedish player, Federer. Roger Federer and Rafa. You combine those, that's what you got with Alcaraz. I mean, he is something to watch. It took 5.5 hours. He beats Zverev in just a fantastic match. 5 sets. Alcaraz gets into the final. You're all thinking, okay, here we go, because the second match is the old man, 38-year-old Novak Djokovic, who will go up against Jannik Sinner. If we look at all the finals last year and all the majors, it was Alcaraz against Sinner. They split them. Even though Alcaraz has the best lifetime head-to-head, they were pretty darn even last year. You're figuring, here we go. This is going to be at least 5 in a row where they're going to face each other, because there's no way Djokovic can stay with Jannik Sinner. Sinner was number one in the world for a while. Huh? Wrong. Alcaraz, 5.5-hour match. Djokovic, Sinner, 4 hours, 9 minutes. So you almost got 10 hours worth of tennis in your semifinal ticket. Incredible. And here's Djokovic, who gets him in 5 sets. 6-3, 6. I think it was 3-6, 6-4, 4-6, 6-4, 6-4, something like that. They were all close. It was all one break away. It was all very dramatic. And it's just amazing that the 38-year-old could make it now to his 11th Australian Open final. He's got 10 wins. He's 10-0. He's never lost an Australian final. He's going for his 25th major just to increase his distance between Federer. I mean, it's just amazing stuff. Sinner had won the last 5 matches over Djokovic. They seem to always play each other in the semis. And give credit to Djokovic. He himself said he could not play at the level at that both Sinner and Alcaraz were playing at. But he found a way to get to that level today. He had lost 5 in a row, and he finally got them. And I think Alcaraz is going to walk away with the final on Sunday. We'll see, because you never know for certain, but I do believe that will be the case. But my gosh, 38 years old, he's in another final. He can even make more history. And if you love tennis, you would have loved today, because that was high-quality, skilled, great tennis and almost 10 hours worth. And now you've got probably the last time you'll see Alcaraz and Djokovic in a final. Should be a lot of fun. Speaking of old people that have been really achieved and great stories about them all, Lindsey Vonn, the 41-year-old skier who retired, came back, has been amazing, made the American team. She's in a race in Switzerland. There had already been 2 crashes in front of her. Everybody was tense as she goes off because the Winter Olympics in Milan start next week. She's actually got a chance to medal. It's incredible. It's going to be her 4th game. She crashes. They cancel the race right after her crash. That's the 3rd on conditions that were very shaky. People are going to be wondering, should they have run this race at all? She had to get airlifted to a hospital. She did get up. She fell hard. She went into the netting. She grabbed her left knee. She skied all the way down. Stopped a couple of times. Told everybody that she was really sore in the knee. They airlifted her out, so we don't know how bad the knee will be, if she'll have to be a scratch from the American team in the Olympics in Milan. I know NBC and all ski fans around the world that just love this story are going to be so sad if she cannot go. Let's just hope it's a severe sprain and she has enough time to recuperate for the games in Milan. All right, let's talk about this Tiger basketball game last night, because coming in, the Tigers had this awful road trip. You all know about it. You heard me complain. Supposed to be home Saturday night after the game. The weather wouldn't allow it. The Tigers knew that on this road trip, the storm possibilities were pretty imminent. They asked Wichita State. They asked for the help from the commissioner. Change the game to Friday. We're here. They'd gotten there on Thursday. And Wichita State balked, and the commissioner didn't step in, and ESPN wasn't going to be involved. If Wichita State said campus is open, we're playing. So the Tigers get stuck there. And I've said this before, but either Wichita State or the American Athletic Conference should pay the bills. It's somewhere between $25,000 and $30,000 probably, for hotel rooms and food and all that stay and extra car rental days and everything that goes with it. And let's face it, the Tigers let go of the rope. They're up 5 with 7 minutes to go in Tulsa. 26-4 run ruins that, and then they get beat and clobbered at Wichita State. Never really in the game after the first couple of minutes where they led 4-0. But in the second half, Penny finds something. He finds a combination. If you look over the past year, when this rotation is in, their plus-minus is very plus. It includes Majok and Bradshaw together. It includes Barry and Thedford being out there. And lo and behold, that's the way they start last night. Lo and behold, right off the bat, they had the lead for pretty much 38 minutes, and they were behind for all of 40 seconds. They dominated a game where, in all honesty, FAU had lost their two best players, both guards. Their point guard, who had 17 against Memphis, was out, and their best player, their Doug McDaniel, who leads them in points, in threes, in rebounds, he was out of the game too. There's a stomach bug that was going around, and so these two guys could not play. So that, in the game against Memphis in Boca Raton, those guys had a combined 29 points. That's a lot. Now, in all honesty, the Tigers were out two starters. They didn't have Givens. They didn't have Hakeem. Givens with a knee, Hakeem with some mystery illness. By the way, Penny said there was 2 voluntary practices. Okay? In other words, because the school was closed because of the storm, practice can no longer be mandatory. So Penny says, I can't make you guys come, but I want these practices on this day at this time. Come. It's volunteer, but I want you to come. Every player came to that practice except Hassan Hakeem. So what does that say? And now he's sick. So I have no idea the status of Hakeem going forward. But everybody's going to talk about the 2 missing players from FAU. And let's face it, they are really and truly the 2 best players on the team. I'm not going to make up anything else. They're really good, although I will say this freshman Josiah Parker, who was the preseason freshman of the year, 4-star kid out of high school. His brother is an assistant coach on the team. That kid's good. And he's only gotten better as the year's gone on. Now, in the game against Memphis the first time, I think he had 6 points. He showed a couple of flashes of brilliance, but he wasn't a great player. Not like he was last night. He had a double-double in the first half. He ends up scoring, with 28 minutes played, 21 points and 14 rebounds. Now, would he have gotten those points if those 2 guys had been there? I don't know. The other big player in this game at a career high is Amar Amku. He had 14 points in the game. Amar Amku wasn't good enough to even play in the game against Memphis the first time. He was not in the rotation. So they were missing players, so was Memphis. The 2 players that FAU has probably more significant to the result of a game than would be Givens and Hakeem. But Parker's not going to get 21. He made up points with minutes. And Akur didn't even play in the game. Amar Amku didn't even play in the game. He wouldn't. So there's 14 points that you make up. So those points are made up. I say this all the time. In an NBA game, they're going to score around 100 points. Somebody's going to score them. No matter who's out there, somebody's going to score them. And in this case, they scored 65. Now, in all honesty, that's 23 below what their average is in conference. So they're missing 2 key contributors. My point is this: the Tigers would have won this game no matter what. In that game against FAU, these 2 guys are not the most physical, Carlisle and Venterpool. Venterpool's a good rebounder though, and they had out rebounded the Tigers in that game in Boca by 17, and this time it was even, and the Tigers actually got them on second chance points, 15-12. Tigers got them in physicality. Devin Williams, who is their star shot blocker and good rebounder, who really hurt the Tigers, had 7 blocks in the game in Memphis. He was a non-factor. He had 3 points, 2 rebounds. He got at least one of those rebounds late, and they gave him 2 blocks. He had none until garbage time. They really took him out of the game. And they had, this may be the key stat here, 50-20 in points in the paint. The Tigers came to play. They said, we're embarrassed by what happened in Boca. Yes, we stunk it up on this last road trip. But you know what? We're going to be a factor. And I'm going to say there's some magic to FedEx Forum. Currently, the Tigers now have an 18-game winning streak in conference games at FedEx Forum. I want to say they're now 58-9 with Penny in conference games at FedEx Forum in the 8th year. That's pretty significant. I've said all along, and if you look at the standings now in the American, there are 7 teams within 1 game of each other at the top. The best record is 6-2, and the worst record at the top 7 is 5-3. Pretty amazing. Pretty juggled up. I said all along, the team that can win on the road, and FAU going into this road trip that they had was pretty good, away from Boca Raton. Now they've lost 2 in a row, probably to the best teams. I still think USF is a really good team. Memphis is going to have to play them twice, but they get them at home. The team that wins on the road is the team that will win the American. That, to me, is the secret sauce here. But it was fun last night, and if you didn't know or you worried that 2 years ago they blew a big lead, I think it was a 15-point lead in the second half to South Florida, and that's when the team went away. They quit. That was the Javon Quinterly team that totally gave up the rope. If you thought after they blew that 5-point lead with a 26-4 run by Tulsa that it was over, especially with the way they played at Wichita State in the first half, and I think there were plenty of people that were going, uh-oh, here we go again. If you thought that, I think it was erased last night. Last night was a telltale game, and the Tigers end up winning a huge game. Sunday, it's Tulane at home. They'll be big favorites for that game. Got to figure out Ron Hunter's zone defense. If you do that, you should win the game. They got one really good player in Brumbaugh, and I'm not sure they got anybody else in the game the other night in New Orleans. USF took Brumbaugh out of the game. Tulane never had a chance. So we'll see if the Tigers can do the same thing on Sunday. Then after that, it's Thursday in Birmingham against UAB. It's not a great UAB team. I'll just tell you right off the bat here. I think they're 500, 4-4. They don't have anybody like Yaxel Lendeberg. I can say that for sure. They've lost some critical games at home. They lost to UT Martin in the early non-conference season. The Tigers should win that game. That's one of those they've got to have. But you know what? Somebody reminded me this last night. The Tigers and UAB have that history going back to Finch and Bartow and everything else. And it's a for real rivalry. Going back to the days when they were pretty good, when Murray Bartow was the coach and John Calipari brought teams in there and fans were throwing stuff and they actually had to put a tent over the tunnel that is the entrance point to the locker room because people were throwing stuff. That little awning there still exists, by the way. This is the one game that Andy Kennedy and his team have circled, or their fans for sure have circled. That game a week from yesterday, next Thursday in Birmingham. So these next 2 games will tell you exactly if Memphis is going to get or really be in the hunt for the first 2 places where you get double byes and you don't even have to worry about the conference tournament until you get to the semifinals. Sunday, hope you all show up. There should be a bunch of free tickets because the roads are going to be the same way they were last night. And then Thursday in Birmingham. And let's hope I-22 now is cleared because it was closed for a little while yesterday. Or was it yesterday or the day before? 55 and 22 were both closed. There was going to be no way to get to Birmingham or to Oxford for that matter. But let's hope by then, that's Thursday, that everything is cleared up. All right, we got our busy show. Andy Schiffman on the NBA, what he thinks will happen with the Grizz and with Ja and maybe with Giannis and Milwaukee. And could there be a combination thing with Golden State and Kuminga? Who knows? But we'll get the lowdown of that with our wonderful, beautiful agent in Chicago, Andy Schiffman. with Priority Sports. And then we'll end the day with Jonah Dillon, the Tiger beat writer, football mainly, but he was there for the Tigers game last night. He's doing a lot with the Grizz. We'll talk about both those things and the football team and where they stand with portal roster and everything else. All that's still to come your way. I will remind everybody this portion of the show is brought to you by the good folks at Southern Security. Southern Security is a credit union. So what that means is at all 7 of their locations, they don't have to make a profit. They can give you rates on things that you can't get anywhere else. Like if you need cash, you can refinance your auto loan with Southern Security. You won't have to pay for 60 days. They'll finance up to 115% of the current value of your vehicle. That's for up to 72 months. They can do things, folks, that nobody else can. If you want to find out how to put more cash in your pocket, call and talk to a team member. They talk to human beings at this number. Simple. And you can become part of the family. 452-7900. Or you can do it the more modern way. Just go to the website, southernsecurity.org. They love the Tigers. They're big supporters of 901 Women. Southern Security is your home team credit union and federally insured by NCUA. We're going to Chicago in just a minute, right here on Wolo and Friends. Don't go anywhere.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy. Weekday mornings from 7 to 10, right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, folks. Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, and I hope your new year has started out in a great way. I think we're all relieved when the holidays are over and life returns to normal. And normal means that special gift-giving occasions always roll around. Over the last 5 decades, we at Russell Brothers have helped thousands of Memphians turn those special occasions into truly memorable celebrations when a small box of exquisite jewelry from Russell Brothers is opened. Beauty, quality, value, and service are what we have offered to our friends and customers for so many years, and all of that is wrapped together in the stunning jewelry you'll find at Russell Brothers Jewelers. Whether you're looking for a very important piece of jewelry for a big occasion, or perhaps just a trendy, whimsical piece to make her smile, we can help you. Remember, beauty, quality, value, and service are our offerings to you every day for every occasion. Come see us at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Tito's Handmade Vodka is America's favorite vodka for a reason. From the first legal distillery in Texas, Tito's is 6 times distilled till it's just right and naturally gluten-free, making it a high-quality spirit that mixes with just about everything. From the smoothest martinis to the best Bloody Marys, beyond the bottle, Tito's has gained a reputation for giving back, teaming up with nonprofits around the world to serve its communities and do good for dogs. Make your next cocktail with Tito's and learn more at Tito'sVodka.com. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly.
Guns, guns, and more guns. Over 700 firearms in stock. Home defense guns, old guns, new guns, used guns, big guns, little guns. Every gun you can think of, Classic Arms has them. All brands like Glock, Sig, Colt, Ruger, Smith & Wesson, Browning, Beretta, Benelli, Remington, Winchester, and more. Guaranteed lowest prices in town. Only gun importer in the Mid-South. Free gun inspections and appraisals and free bore sighting for the upcoming deer season. Shop online at ClassicArmsOfMemphis.com or visit Classic Arms at 1740 Germantown Parkway behind Corky's Barbecue in Cordova.
When the deals drop at Kohl's, you feel it. You see up to 50% off end-of-season must-haves, plus up to 85% off clearance favorites. And suddenly, your whole world narrows to one thought. Must shop now. Your to-do list gone. Your dinner plans forgotten. It's just you and your cart gliding through the store. Yeah, Kohl's deals will do that to a person. Save in-store and online now. Select styles. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
You ready to take your pick from 2 amazing rides at $299 a month? Well, then get to Gossett Volkswagen on the Pike. A Volkswagen that's just right for you. We Gossett. Take your pick, 2025 Jetta Sport or 2025 Volkswagen Taos S, $299 a month. You heard me right. You choose 2025 Jetta Sport or 2025 Volkswagen Taos S, $299 a month. We Gossett. Or how about 3 rows of seats, more room for all kinds of adventure in your new 2025 Atlas SEL. Now just $499 a month, or get $7,000 off MSRP. Remember, it's not a new ride if it's not from Gossett, so get to Gossett Volkswagen today, 1975 Covington Pike or online, GossettVWMemphis.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
All 36-month lease, Jetta SM104-280, MSRP 26,426, House SMO6162, MSRP 27,011, Atlas SC 53,9735, MSRP 51,546, includes all rebates and incentives, PF 895, excludes tax title and license with approved credit. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid to end of the month, dealers.com.
Progressive knows life takes you in many directions.
Bear right at exit 32, then begin to wonder why you never bought a fish tank. In 1.3 miles, you'll realize you've been mispronouncing epitome your whole life. At the roundabout, you will remember you said something at dinner you wish you hadn't and will think about it for decades. You have arrived at your destination, but it turns out there really is no destination and life just keeps going.
Wherever life takes you, protect your home and auto with a bundle from Progressive. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We are moving the Family Leisure Studios to Chicago momentarily, but you need to get to I-40 and Whitten Road. Now, if you can get to the main arteries, all the interstates are really good. I'm sure Whitten Road looks really good. Head on over there. Make sure you cash in now on the floor model spa sale at Family Leisure, because what they're calling this is it's time to make room, because they're moving everything with big discounts on over 100 display models and in-stock hot tubs, swim spas, cold plunges. Mention us. You might even get more off. Who knows? Go see Billy. Go see Lindsay. If you can get there safely, I know you're bored out of your mind. Get there. Take advantage of this sale with our good friends at Family Leisure, where family and fun all come together. I don't know if it's a fun time at all when the trade deadline is now 6 days away. Let's check in with our agent in Chicago from Priority Sports. That's Andy Schiffman. Good morning to you. What is the weather crazy there? I know it's been frigid. What's it like there? And are the streets clean? What, like you're a Memphian, so you know what's the difference between Chicago and Memphis?
Well, I could only imagine the lack of snowplows in the city of Memphis. And I think here there's probably one for, every 500 square feet. So, yeah, it's snowing here. I'm looking out the window of my office right now. Brutally cold, as it's been for the last 2 weeks. But the main roads are clear, easily able to navigate around the city of Chicago. But doesn't mean I want to, because it's single digits, and it has been for the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's nuts. Well, it's going to be cold here. We're not going to get above freezing starting this evening until I think next Tuesday. So we understand the frigid tundra at the moment, just like you. All right, let's start with trade deadline. It's, as I mentioned, 6 days away. We're still waiting on big deals. Giannis is in there. Maybe Kuminga is in there. Jimmy Butler's got an expiring contract coming up. He may be bait to make some moves for Golden State. And then there's Ja Morant. What do you think? You said a long time ago, we've documented this thing where you said come deadline either Ja or Jaren Jackson Jr. would be moved. Now we know it's Ja who could be moved if they can get value for him. Will we next Friday be talking about Ja in a different place?
Look, I still think we can, and I think the belief is stronger than it was this time 3 weeks ago. And I only say that just because of the way things have gone more recently. I think there's more public rhetoric now with Zach Kleiman coming out and saying they will be aggressive in looking at opportunities. But I think NBA fans and Grizzlies fans don't get it twisted, right? There's the one part of an NBA general manager saying we will be aggressive in looking at trades that may or may not include Ja Morant. And for sure, I'm sure Zach is fielding calls on Ja. But secondly, that does not mean he will be moved. He hasn't come out and said we're going to move Ja. It is very difficult in the NBA, more so in today's NBA world, with the salary cap and the CBA as it is, to finalize a trade, much less a player like Ja that is a huge, massive talent. He's got a lot of money owed to him. That's not an easy task. So it's not like Zach is going out there calling 29 other teams, and 29 other teams aren't calling the Grizzlies asking about Ja. So I personally still think he will be moved. But again, that might be me saying it's 60% likely, not 100%.
Okay.
And if he is moved, because of the financial component, I wouldn't be shocked to see it be part of a multi-team deal. So I think it's more likely than not he will get moved. Obviously, it seems like the one constant team that continues to be associated with the Grizzlies in a Ja Morant trade is Miami. They could absolutely benefit from Ja, need a point guard. You're moving into a different conference altogether. There's a huge benefit to that. But again, I'm not saying that will happen.
I'm thinking, though, when you come out and say, okay, we're listening. Milwaukee did that this week. Finally, that's when everybody goes, okay, they're going to move. I thought when Zach Kleiman said we're listening, that pretty well made you feel like this is not going to work in Memphis.
Yeah, and I think he's cognizant of that, and I give him a lot of credit because I think a big part of this when you have a superstar, right? And it's the same thing with the Bucks and Giannis, as you mentioned. You have these GMs that have invested a lot of time and a lot of money into a Ja Morant, into a Giannis. Both those players have only known one city in the NBA, one team in the NBA. So the psychological component of cutting ties with that player is very, very, very difficult because all these guys have egos. No one wants to admit it's not working when you have a superstar. But at some point, you need to cut the cord and understand we can keep going down this path. Things can get worse, more tumultuous. It's bad PR if the player then stands up on the table and says, get me out of here, I don't want to be here. And then all of a sudden, none of that happens, or you just lose them in free agency for nothing. So it's a hard pill to swallow a lot of times, but I do give these GMs, namely John Horst in Milwaukee and Zach, obviously in Memphis, a lot of credit when they do come to the realization, I'm aware of where we're at as an organization. We are underachieving. We have not met our expectations, and that means we have to shake things up. And if I can get a lot of value for Ja Morant by moving him now at the deadline, more so than I might get in the summer, more so than just playing it out and seeing if things improve, this might be the best case scenario.
It was interesting to me that Ja said he didn't really want to go. You know, I got this tattoo on my back that tells you exactly where I want to be. And he played so good in London. Then he came back and he had a really good game against Atlanta. Then he gets his elbow injured. And I kind of wonder, is that an elbow injury or is that the Grizzlies saying, you know what, Ja just proved what he can do in these last two games, and we don't want to take a chance on any further injury because we want to move him. I don't know if that's the case. Maybe you've got some insight into it, but it makes me wonder, how strict is the NBA on injury lists? Do they really penalize you if you're sitting guys for either load management or, in this particular case, to move a guy?
Yep, absolutely. They're very strict on this. In the new CBA, and the NBA has come out with a mandate referred to as the player participation policy. That, to your point, Dave, it really restricts, quote-unquote, load management, the idea of resting a player because you're trying not to decrease his value going into the trade deadline. It's not permissible. Now, I'm not saying that's not happening in Memphis, but if that were the case, the Grizzlies would have to corroborate their reason of Ja sitting out due to an injury. And the NBA defines an injury differently than they do just saying, well, the player's hurt. And that's more semantics beyond my pay grade. Well, but they're very strict with it because the whole thing is to protect the quote unquote integrity of the game, right? And you've seen this in the past, and you've seen fans get upset with this and TV broadcasts. They want to make sure the healthy star players are playing for the good of the game, for the publicity and the excitement of watching these stars. And the NBA will fine a team if they cannot corroborate the fact that a player is actually injured. These teams can get fined at least $100,000. We've seen this in recent years. They are restricted to sit players due to load management. They cannot sit, quote-unquote, star players, multiple star players, same game at a time, just for rest. And they're really stricter when you're on the road, just with the whole notion of road fans buying a ticket to go to an arena to watch that player that might be his only visit to that city in the NBA all season. You know, if you're a Sacramento Kings, if you're living out in Sacramento, right, and you got the Grizzlies coming in, and you know Ja's only coming in twice during the season, or even better yet, Eastern Conference, say Boston. You're a big Ja Morant fan, and let's just say, you know, Ja's tired. The Grizzlies just want to rest him because in a different world, Boston's a dumpster fire, which they're not this year, obviously. And they're just kind of treating that game as a cupcake and giving Ja some extra rest. That would not fly unless they can actually justify, hey, this is why we sat Ja Morant. He's actually injured. The teams have to supply their injury list 5 p.m. the day before game now, unless it's a back-to-back. You got to get that into the league by 1 p.m. the day of the game. So there's definitely a lot of tighter restrictions on injuries.
Well, explain Kuminga to me in Golden State then.
I wish I could. I mean, there might be some underlying physical,
as soon as Jimmy Butler got hurt, he was in.
So I don't know the details of Kuminga, obviously, and medically, but here's the other thing. This is really for quote-unquote star players. You can't convince me that the Warriors are defining Jonathan Kuminga as a star player. The NBA is not coming down on the Warriors for Kuminga. Now, if it was Steph Curry, Jimmy, obviously, maybe Draymond, I think it'd be a little more of a topic of conversation. But I mean, my only thought is twofold. One, there is an injury going on, and the Warriors have documentation of that still. And two, the league just doesn't care if it's Kuminga because he's really not a quote unquote star player.
The Giannis deal, I'm pretty sure he's going to be moved too. I mean, they're talking Minnesota, Golden State, New York Knicks. I'm trying to remember the fourth team that's prominently listed. And
Spurs are in the mix. Hawks have been mentioned.
I was kind of thinking, could there be, because it's been so quiet, could this be, and I think you alluded to this earlier, a multiple team deal where Giannis and Ja are all involved because they're such big salaries that are coming into play here? Jimmy Butler could also be involved.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be pretty unprecedented if a guy like Ja, if a guy like Giannis, maybe even a Karl Anthony Towns in New York that's making $50+ million, just like Giannis is, all these guys are moved. It could happen. I don't go so far as to say those guys will be in a similar trade. I mean, Grizzlies fans obviously would probably do backflips if there was a world where Giannis could come to Memphis and Ja's included in that. Because you look at Milwaukee's roster, they would love to have a Ja Morant. They've got Ryan Rollins, point guard right now, who's having a very good year, but he's not Ja Morant. So from the Bucks standpoint, that would make a lot of sense. Now, if you're Isolo and the Grizzlies, how do you get Giannis to play alongside Jaren Jackson? That dynamic. I mean, you just figure it out if you can make it happen. Ja's making close to $40 million a year. Giannis is quite more than that, close to 10 or 12 more. But that would work. Those numbers would work. I'm not saying that will happen, but it's not completely out of the realm of possibility. But to your point, yeah, I mean, I think you could see both guys involved in a multi-team trade. I think it's probably unlikely, but I wouldn't rule it out. I think the Spurs could be a real in a hot pursuit of Giannis. I think that could make a lot of sense.
What would they have to give up for that?
I think they've got a lot of attractive young athletic wings. They've got guys like Keldon Johnson, who is a gettable player. Just trying to think of trying to look at their roster really and think of some of the other guys that could be on the move. Devin Vassell for sure. I mean, they're going to hang on to De'Aaron Fox. They're going to hang on to obviously Wemby. I still think they would probably hang on to Stephen Capsule, but not out of the question that a guy like that. But again, he's still on his rookie contract. But a guy like that's included in a trade for Giannis, and that would make a lot of sense for Milwaukee because Stephon Castle, rookie of the year a couple years ago, huge upside, really talented player. So if the Spurs are in the mix for Giannis, those are probably some of the pieces that could be moved for it to make sense. Obviously, you could see draft picks being moved. I mean, the number one thing that I keep thinking is just, which you can't do it right now because of where the Knicks are at financially. But if there's a way somehow to get under that second apron and still make a move to Karl Anthony Towns for Giannis, I'm sure they'd love to do it. I don't know if the Bucks would love to do it, but I think he's another big name that is heavily being talked about in trades and being moved. But I do think, just big picture, Dave, heading into February 5th, I think at least 2/3 of the league right now are all talking trades, and I do think many of those teams could accomplish something. Teams like Minnesota, teams like Chicago, Cleveland's going to be making some moves, I think. Sacramento. There's going to be a lot of turnover, and it may not all be names that the average NBA fan recognizes, but to that point, that's where you start to see a Ja and or Giannis in a bigger trade, being attached to a bigger trade, multiple teams involved. We've seen this in the past. Jimmy Butler, another guy on the move, potentially. but now he's out for the year, so I don't really know who's trading for him. A lot of different moving parts that we'll see over the next 6 days.
Give me 2 other names that you think will definitely be in different uniforms next week.
I could see a Malik Monk in Sacramento being moved. I could see a Darius Garland being moved. I could see a Colin Sexton in Charlotte being moved. Again, these aren't necessarily the sexiest names, but you asked the question.
Yeah.
I could see a Luke Kennard in Atlanta being moved. Obviously, Grizzlies fans are well aware of Luke, and he's having a great year shooting the ball. And, Anthony Davis, another big name that's not really talked about, but I still think he could be moved. How about that game last night, by the way? We had Con Knippel, Charlotte versus that was an amazing matchup between Cooper and Con.
I know, 49 for Cooper Flag. Knippel, the former ex-Duke teammates, he had 34, but he hit the game winner. Who's Rookie of the Year? Yeah. Who's Rookie of the Year?
Look, I'm biased. I want to say Con. I'm not necessarily sure the voters see it that way, but I'm going Con Knippel all the way.
I'm kind of like with you. I'd like to see that happen. Andy, we'll know what's going on, and we'll give sort of half-point grades and storylines for the second half. We'll do that next week. Thank you, my friend. Stay warm.
Looking forward to it. You too.
All right. That's our man in Chicago. That's Andy Sheffman. He's brought to you by Landers Cadillac of Memphis. Go see the brand new models. They're all in. There may still be some 2024 Escalades. If you want to really cash in, you can get $20,000 off a brand new Escalade. It's just the 24. Go see this brand new place. Yeah, it's been open now. They finally completed the remodel. It looks spectacular, and as always, if it's Landers, you know they're paying top dollar for trades. See how much you can save with the Landers Easy Pass right there by going to @CadillacMemphis.com. That's at CadillacofMemphis.com. Don't miss out. The best new Cadillac models, they always sell fast, and if it doesn't say Landers, you know you paid too much. Back in a minute. Jonah Dillon standing by. We'll go downtown. We'll talk to the CA beat writer in just a minute.
Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Available locally on your radio dial as well as around the world online at sports56whbq.com. Take us with you everywhere by downloading the Sports 56 app. And at home, just say, Alexa, play Sports 56. Wherever you are, it's easy to stay tuned to Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hey, everybody out there. Walker Taylor with Germantown and Collierville Commissary. Football season is upon us. Nothing better for your next tailgate party than a barbecue buffet spread provided by the Germantown or Collierville Commissary. Catering, self-serve or full, is a specialty of ours. No party too small, no party too large. You can check out our pricing and the items we feature at commissarybbq.com. Holidays will be upon us soon. At our Collierville location, we have a party room for 30 up to 100, perfect for family, business, or church functions. We also have a patio at the Collierville location, perfect in the fall for enjoying football and eating barbecue. Monday through Friday at the Collierville location, we also offer an all-you-can-eat buffet featuring barbecue pulled pork, ribs, fried chicken, and catfish. Each location also offers a $10.95 lunch special, a sandwich, a side, and a drink. Please come visit us at the original in Germantown by the railroad tracks or our new location in Collierville at Houston Levy and Poplar. And as always, go Tigers go.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Binswanger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Binswanger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Binswanger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit binswingerglass.com. Binswanger Glass.
Hi, this is Greg Gaston from Sports 56 here with Corey B. Trotz and Parker Trotz from NST Law. Okay, Parker, tell us, why did you even want to become a personal injury lawyer?
We all know somebody that's been injured in an accident. They may be off work without transportation, not to mention just having to heal from all of their injuries. And so being a personal injury attorney really gives me a unique opportunity to help people and do for them what they wouldn't be able to do on their own and help get them through a really difficult process while making them feel at ease.
Now, Corey, we know that NST Law has been around forever in the Memphis community. Tell us about some of the causes that really matter the most to your firm.
We have served food at the Ronald McDonald House, cleaned up parks in Memphis, delivered food to people who are food insecure. We've also donated to a lot of legal organizations that provide legal services to indigent clients. Our attorneys and staff want to continue to give back to this wonderful city that's helped us out so much.
Thank you so much, Parker. Thank you, Corey. Remember, NST is always the way to go. If you're ever injured, go to nstlaw.com.
You'll drive with peace of mind in your new Kia from Bobby J today at Gossett Kia on the Pike. Get sporty style driving in 2025 Kia K4 LXS. $196 a month. Yeah, $196 a month for Kia K4 LXS. Or take your pick. 2025 Kia Sorento LX or 2026 Kia Sportage Hybrid LX. Your choice. $297 a month. Yeah, $297 a month for your choice. Kia Sorento LX or Kia Sportage Hybrid LX. All 24-month lease $39.95 due at signing. Plus, peace of mind with Kia's 10-year, 100,000-mile powertrain limited warranty. Ask for Bobby J. He'll put you in a new Kia today at Gossett Kia, 1900 Covington Pike. Online, KiaCovingtonPike.com.
If you want it, we got it at Gossett Motor Cars.
K4 SC 207,583, MSRP 24,375, Sorento SG 405,837, Sportage TS 271,780, MSRP 31,865, includes all rebates and incentives, 895 PF plus finance through KFA, excludes tax title license with approved credit dealer stock only. See dealer for complete details. Offer valid through 2/2/2026.
Now back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
Quick update. I told you about Lindsey Vonn earlier crashing in Switzerland, the 41-year-old making her comeback, trying to get to the Milan Winter Olympics. It was a downhill. She's now saying it is a sore knee, but she says if anybody can make a comeback, it's me. I know how to come back. She thinks she's going to be okay and definitely will still try to stay in the mix for the Winter Games that start next week in Milan. That is definitely good news for all of us who love watching her and great comeback stories. In the meantime, he's been everywhere. He's writing for the Tigers football, basketball. He's in on the Grizzlies as well. That's Jonah Dillon, a busy man who may be one of the very few that went to both the basketball games the last two nights at FedEx Forum. Neither had a good crowd, although I think the Tigers was much slimmer than the Grizzlies. Good morning, Jonah.
Morning. Yeah, it was obviously with the way the roads are the past couple of days, not surprising, but yeah, not a lot of people, and neither game was particularly competitive for various reasons. So I don't think there's a lot of people who are unhappy to have missed them.
Well, the Tiger game actually had to be a statement game. They had revenge in mind. Give me your sense of what you thought, if there's a message at all in the way they played last night with this sort of new starting lineup and the way the rotation will probably go from here on out.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was a confidence-building game for them, and it had to be, like, especially once we learned right before tip-off that FAU was going to be without their two top scorers, two top players, really, and Devin Vanderpool and Kendon Carlisle. You expected Memphis to win the game even with a couple of guys out, and if they hadn't, or even if the game had been close, I think it would have been pretty concerning. But when you're coming off of what happened to the Tigers last week, those two losses and the way that they lost those games, obviously you need to kind of get right type of performance, and that's what this was. They pretty much controlled the game throughout. It was never really in doubt, and there's some things they can take. Now, this team constantly, shows us stuff, and then the next game it all kind of goes away, or guys are inconsistent, things like that. But if they can take the things that they did well in this game and continue to apply them moving forward the next 2, 3, 4 games, then they might have something.
This league is pretty darn even. You got 7 teams, and a game separates all of them, just one. And so it's up for grabs. And I've said it a lot. I think the road wins, the one that gets the most road wins. And FAU'd been pretty good until this last road trip where they lost 2 in a row to probably the 2 most talented teams in USF and Memphis. But I think if you win on the road, you get your best chance of winning because, Memphis has now won 18 straight games in conference at home.
Yeah, I mean, Memphis hasn't been able to win on the road either, right? I mean, the win at Rice was the only one. And so that's going to be a big thing for them as they kind of move into this next part of the schedule. Like you said, I mean, it's still wide open. All these teams, obviously, no one is competing for an at-large. They're all competing, and they're going to be in Birmingham trying to win that auto bid in the conference tournament. But in terms of the regular season kind of push, all these teams, every time a team feels like it kind of takes a step forward, somebody gets them. There's nobody that's clearly better than everybody else. And it's kind of been this way for the whole conference season. It's right there for Memphis to be the top team in this conference. I know that's not even going to be enough for most people, but I think it's there for them if they, like you said, can figure out how to win on the road.
Yeah, I think the two best teams I've seen so far are FAU and Tulsa. Memphis doesn't get a second one with Tulsa. They only get to play Charlotte once, but fortunately that's at home. And Wichita got Memphis. I don't think Wichita's a great team. I really don't. So, and they get them back at home. So, like you say, Memphis has to win at UAB on Thursday. They got to win the game when they go play in New Orleans. Obviously, given they got to win at home. Every one of them at home. They got to win in New Orleans. Those are games that you could win. I don't know if they'll win at North Texas. So that'll be an interesting game. I think they'll be the underdogs in the game at USF.
Yeah, USF has been solid. I think that's a team to watch out for, especially they can put it together. A lot of these teams where it's like they have the pieces there, they haven't necessarily put it together the whole season. USF is 100% in that category. But, the way the season has gone, there's no guarantees, besides, I guess, playing UTSA. There's really no guarantees in terms of games that you're going to win, especially on the road. And that next one, obviously, Tulane on Sunday and then UAB on the road on Thursday. And we learned in the fall that road games at UAB can never be taken for granted, no matter what the talent discrepancy might be.
I think we have learned that lesson for certain. There's no certainty that Ja will be moved. I think Zach Kleiman and company, they want to move him. I just was talking to Andy Schiffman, our agent in Chicago. He says it's more likely than not that he will be moved, but it's certainly not a certainty. What's your sense? I don't know if you've got any insight to what Zach Kleiman is going to do, but what's your gut feel on Ja? Will he be a Grizz next Friday?
Yeah, I mean, it's just really hard to say. I feel like my answer changes, every hour or whatever. And as we get towards the trade deadline, maybe it'll be every minute. I certainly think that the Giannis news, that kind of changes the perspective of just the entire kind of landscape with the trade deadline, because a lot of teams obviously are trying to load up to make that deal. There's no guarantee that's going to happen before the deadline either, right? Because there's not a lot of time for those teams to figure that out. With John Morant, I mean, there has been time since they kind of put that news out there that they were going to listen to offers. They've had plenty of time to gather the intel on what the offers are, what the landscape is. And obviously, look, if they wanted to trade him and if they got an offer that they felt confident with, they would have already done it, right? Now, his injury status has kind of probably affected that. He's been in and out of the lineup since that news broke, and now he's out again. It's really hard to tell because I think it depends on these other things. I think you could have a domino effect, especially with the Giannis stuff of a lot of teams. You see some of the reporting about teams waiting on Giannis to see if they can get him, and then maybe they would pivot to a Ja deal or how that would go. And so it's really hard to say as we get closer to the deadline if those things are going to happen, if there's going to be a domino effect, and ultimately if the Grizzlies are going to get an offer that they feel confident in.
You think that elbow injury is a real injury, or is that we're sitting you till we trade you?
No, we saw him get injured. It's definitely an injury. Now, the extent of it, we'll see how long he ends up being out for. I know the injuries where it's like, especially around the trade deadline, people get held out and stuff. We saw what happened in the injury. We've seen him wearing a brace when he's been on the bench, and so. Yeah, I think it happened. We'll see. Like I said, I mean, these guys keep getting held out, and there's a lot of Grizzlies players who end up being out longer than they're expected to, so we'll see when he ultimately comes back.
Switching gears to Tiger football, you did a heck of a job researching on where they are now. You went and looked at every Tiger that was eligible to be on the roster that got into the portal, where they are now, and they're everywhere, aren't they?
They are everywhere. It's going to be really interesting to try to track that throughout next season because obviously so many players left because of the coaching change. A lot going to Arkansas, which was to be expected, and we'll see the roles that those guys play. Obviously, A.J. Hill is going to be in a quarterback competition. Sutton Smith, I would expect to play a major role. Malachi Breland, I would expect to be a starter for them, guys like that. It's really interesting just to kind of track it and see a lot of guys going to power conference schools, especially from the defense. I think maybe took it for granted a little bit last season, the talent that was there. If you look at, like, the guys who were starters on defense, and you're talking about Michigan, West Virginia, Pitt, Arkansas, A lot of guys that are going to be playing power conference football and probably starting next season.
Yeah, with Bracey, where did he ended up in Michigan?
Michigan.
That blew me away. A way too early prediction of all these guys. You know who to me is going to end up being a big player at the school he went to? Arrington Maiden, James Madison.
Yeah, that's a really interesting one. James Madison obviously set up to be pretty successful moving forward. It's going to be interesting with Billy Napier there as their coach. If he ends up being their starter, then obviously we've heard it for the past couple of years. A lot of people around Memphis have been really high on him since he was here and would love to get the opportunity to see him play and start. And so he's got a ton of potential, and it'll be really interesting to see how he does.
I think he's going to do terrific. All right, last thing. How many more to come, and do you like the roster, the way he's brought people in? Is it pretty good? Is it competitive?
Yeah, I think it's definitely competitive. I mean, if you got to compare it to these other teams in the conference and in the group of six to look at it, I think he's done a pretty good job, Charles Huff, in terms of building the roster. Yes, I would expect more guys to come in, but I think the bulk of what he's wanted to do is probably done so far, because obviously you have your top targets when the portal opens. You go after those guys, and then you kind of go from there. We got to see how it plays out depth chart-wise. We got to see how it looks in spring practice. We'll get a better idea of what this thing is going to be. But I think ultimately it's been a success so far in terms of the haul he's gotten. Obviously, it doesn't mean anything until you see those guys on the field. But I think there's reason to be excited about this roster going to next season.
All right, my friend, we'll talk next week. Maybe we'll know a little bit more. We'll certainly know if Ja is here or not. And we appreciate it. Stay warm, stay safe.
Yeah, you as well.
That's our man. That is Jonah Dillon from the Commercial Appeal. He's brought to you by Shell Dunn. Who's the best real estate point guard in town? Well, you know. It's the guy that can shoot the three that gets you to the closing table, the end game, the quickest. That is my man, Shell Dunn Rosengarten, terrible golfer. But, man, can he sell, because he does it all the time. 365, 24/7. He sells when no one else can. He's got the strategy that nobody else has. It involves preparation and pricing. He's a guy that will sit down and tell you exactly how you should stage it, what you should do. It's a marketing program that is absolutely a smashing success. That's why they call him Shell Dunn. He'll tell you. Talk to 2 or 3 real estate agents if you or someone you know is interested in selling or buying. Just make sure he's one of them. Then he gets into the nitty-gritty with you, and he gets you to the closing table quicker than anybody else, and you get more than you ever thought you would. All you got to do is call 483-0546 or MemphisRelocate.com. That's MemphisRelocate.com or 483-0546. We'll see you Sunday at FedEx Forum. We'll talk all about it right back here on Monday. Again, stay warm, stay safe, so we can see you then. Johnny Radio is next.